It's 2 o'clock on Thursday afternoon, and I'm Pastor Lou. I'm here to chat with you for a brief time, have a conversation about where we are and how we are, marking the story of our lives in the days of Lent. 40 days of Lent with the interruptions of Sundays, we move toward the celebration of Easter. Historically, this period of time was used for people to find their way back on the path. Life sometimes has a way of getting us off the path, getting us into directions we never intended to go. Sometimes we did intend to go, and then we regret after we go there. But the 40 days of Lent was a time when the church would say, especially to anybody who had at one point been part of the church, confirmed, maybe baptized, wandered away. Maybe they had been practicing the faith, coming for the Eucharist and coming to worship and participating in the ministries and missions of the church, but things happen. You know, sometimes people get angry or they're hurt or they fall away. These 40 days are the homecoming days. These are the days, and in more formal traditions, the priests or the pastors would meet with persons who said, look, I'd like to get back into good standing with the church community. And so there would be a plan made out for them based on what had happened, to be resurrected in life in the community. That's really what it comes down to. And that best time to do that, they thought, was during these 40 days. Not so much days of testing, but days of repentance, days of trying to make amends, days of trying to fix what was broken. And then, what a great celebration. On Sunday night, Saturday night of Easter weekend, the liturgy includes, and still around the world, there is the Easter Vigil. In the Easter Vigil, there is this incredible reenactment, in a way, of the events of Jesus' life and his death and his resurrection. So that we have Good Friday, which memorializes the death of Jesus on the cross. It's a wonderment. Many traditions do 7 last words of Christ service at noon or sometimes in the afternoon to focus on how deep and wide is the story and the account of Jesus, the lover of our souls, the healer of our wounds, the forgiver of our sins, who is murdered in a kangaroo court with propped up charges, and he is executed. He's puppeted to the invading, the dominating, the conquering, occupying army of the Romans, and given to the Romans to do the dirty work of his own people. So he's crucified. The timing, to be honest with you, if you want to count the days and the timing, it just in the narrative kind of gets confused. Jesus is crucified on Friday, in our way, and then he's taken down from the cross on Friday evening, which is the beginning of Passover, and then he's supposed to have been in the tomb, dead for 3 days, and raised on Sunday. So if you do any elementary math, you know there's something wrong there. There's only 1 day between Friday and Sunday. But let's not focus on that. Let's listen to how the story is told then on Easter Saturday. The church would come together, and still comes together, especially in the Orthodox tradition and Roman Catholic traditions. There's Easter Vigil. An Easter Vigil, a vigil is when you sit vigil. You you hold a vigil for that person that has died. You hold a vigil, a candlelight vigil, to bear witness maybe to someone, a martyr, someone who died in a terrible accident. So on Saturday night, the church gathers for what is called Easter Vigil. Now, the Easter Vigil service is long. It is a full liturgy that goes behind it, but it starts, I don't know, just love this. It starts outside the church building, and there's supposed to be a barrel with a burning fire in it, right? So there's a fire burning in a barrel. And this is the reminder of the fire that Peter was warming his hands by when they asked him, weren't you with him? And Peter's denial. So out of the fire of Peter's denial on Saturday night, the community gathers around the Easter fire, the vigil fire. And then a candle is lit from that fire. And that candle is very ceremonially carried into the sanctuary and being brought into the sanctuary, symbolizing in the mystery and the wonder of it all, that out of the denial of Peter and the denial of all of his friends comes a light. And that light of that fire lights that candle. And all the worshipers take a light from the fire, and they carry it into the sanctuary. And then in the sanctuary, the service that is organized, the gathering that is organized as a vigil to the crucified Christ, becomes the light by which we see the resurrection. And a whole kind of, we've done this sometimes on Christmas Eve services, candlelight vigils on Christmas Eve. There is another vigil. We don't adopt it quite as much here in North America, but this vigil also, like the candlelight service on Christmas Eve, is a vigil that rehearses all of the Hebrew scriptures that lead up to what helps us to understand what's happened. And then, in some traditions, there are some prayers who stay and pray all through the night. And they pray in Easter Sunday morning. And it was at the Easter Vigil service that those who had been reclaimed in the life of faith would join the Easter Vigil service, and they would light the candle of their life and their faith from the bonfire of Peter's denial, and they would carry their light into the sanctuary as symbolic of the rejuvenation of their faith and the recommitment to discipleship. I personally like the pageantry of that, because I think it teaches a lesson. What a great way to teach who we are, how we are. What a great way for us to be reminded over and over again. It's not just meaningless sort of movements of people. It's teaching. It's narrative teaching. It tells us that we can be reunited with God, that forgiveness is real, and that the community opens itself. Those that had been shunned and had been disciplined are now welcomed back into the family. Very big part of the dynamic of what Easter faith, what Easter people are about. Lent is that ramp, it's that pathway. And the Easter Vigil on the night before a celebration of the resurrection, that was a very appropriate place to carry out that process of opening our arms again to those that we may have lost otherwise. So here we are on this Thursday in Lent, closing down the 5th week of Lent, heading into Palm Sunday. Tomorrow I'm going to talk a little bit too about the events of Palm Sunday and what it represented what it represents in terms of the full range of our human existence, of our ability to celebrate life in God, and also our ability to turn on God in a moment's notice. I preached a sermon once, and that title sticks with me over and over again, The Jesus We Expected and the Jesus We Got. And that's kind of what happens from Palm Sunday. But continuing on our theme from yesterday, I just wondered, you can't really tell me how you made out in compiling your list of those that you love, that you know you already love, and that you have actions of love toward these people. You do not let a month go by without demonstration of your love to these human beings that are in the circle of your life. And then on that list, to add those that you love that maybe you have not, you're aware in that taking of inventory that you have not really demonstrated, you have not really put your love into action, and maybe a commitment by adding them to the list to do so. And then a list of who loves you. Who loves you, baby, right? Who? And this isn't, it's not a popularity contest. This is a thoughtful exercise, if you take it that way, to be aware. What are the signs that someone loves you? When I did the children's stories, I used to love to ask the children, how do you know when someone loves you? Yes, they say so. But that's by far not all there is to loving. First of all, you can say it when it isn't true. And if you say it without demonstrative actions, it doesn't really mean anything. So I would ask the children, how do you know when someone loves you? How do you know? And the kids would say, well, my mom loves me. How do you know? Well, she makes me toast for breakfast. She does my laundry. She takes care of me. She makes sure that I'm safe, tucks me in at night. All demonstrative things. The kids, they get it immediately. They go on a long list of things. How do you know if someone doesn't love you? Well, they make fun of you. They call you names. They don't share with you. You don't have to have a PhD to answer this question. It's basic. I didn't say it was simple. It's basic. And the purpose, again, for this kind of inventory at this stage in our lives is that in this journey of Lent, we're trying to look at the gaps. We're trying to see the invisible, being aware of what we haven't seen. There's a lot of people maybe we thought we loved, but when we begin to take the inventory, we look and go, well, either I don't love them or I haven't really put love into action in relationship to them. And all of that is driven by this week-long emphasis. Jesus said, I've come to bring you life, fullness of life. And in Jesus' understanding of human beings, how we're created, who created us, fullness of life comes in the exercise of love from one human being to another. That is the definitive measure of fullness of life. Behind it also is what makes you happy in life? What makes a human being happy in a kind of happiness that leads to that discipline in a long direction? Putting into action love for someone else. My father had a pretty set narrative when he would do weddings. He doesn't do many weddings now at 94, but over the years I attended many weddings that my father performed. And in his wedding homily, in his words to the bride and groom, he would say these words: everybody needs to love, and everybody needs to be loved. However, in a marriage, you have to be careful that you don't let your need to be loved get ahead of the need your marriage has for you to love the other person. Now, I don't know where he got that from. It's a nice little saying, be careful you don't get your need to be loved confused and try to put your need to be loved first ahead of your need to love your partner. I don't know where he got that from. I guess living life and wisdom, and maybe it's even from all the reading that he did in his life. I'm going to ask him. But it's something I remember. It's something I think that stands out. And I think it fits right here, right now, as we approach this overwhelming account of this individual in history who came from the heart of God and walked among us and loved those who were given to him in that time and loved them even to the very end, and was murdered, betrayed, given up out of the confusion of those around him with something they believed they were going to get for themselves. It's perfect. It's a perfect thought. It's worth coming back to. In exercises of pedagogy or teaching, they say there's 3 parts, right? Tell them what you're going to tell them, then tell them, and then tell them what you told them. So this will be the 3rd part of my lessons on this theme in the week of Lent. I told you I was going to tell you selflessness is the pathway to full life. So there it is. I hope it's helpful in your thoughts in this journey. Beautiful days are coming. Be lots of time to go out and experience the joy of the heavens that tell the glory of God, and lots of time for us to finish this journey as we have pursued it. I don't know if you've been taking notes along the way. I don't do that a lot. I'm not a journaler. I've done it at times in my life. But I do hope that somehow you can carry this with you, that it has legs for you, and that you can think then and go out and see how the puzzle I've laid out today fits into the pattern of all the mosaic of your life. And in that, I hope it fits. If not, if it's helpful, take it with you. If not, leave it right here. But more than anything, take with you my hopes for God's blessing in your life. And that you will find not just God's blessing, but you will find the incredible blessing of being able to be a blessing where God leads you today, even if it's a phone call or a letter or a comment or saying hello to a neighbor because the sun is finally out. God bless you, my friends, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye for now.